What's up, everybody? This is Daniel with the TCG Pulse crew, and just kind of want to get back on here, get a fresh upload for you guys, show you what I've been up to lately. This is a deck that I've been having success with, and it's a true Draco Dogmatika profile, which is actually my personal favorite way to play the deck. The Dogmatika cards really make the Draco cards shine, and vice versa. They really help you establish your own boards while breaking your opponents in a format like today's. This is kind of a deck that no one's really thinking about, but like it has really good matchups versus the current meta. Like Blackout and Baron just kind of isn't enough to stop this, and that's why one reason why I love this deck is it has a really good Sword Soul matchup. But I'm gonna get right into it, and just I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think at the end. We're gonna start it off with the 3 Ignis, the 2 Maiden, and the 1 Dynamite. This is pretty standard. I only play the 2 Maiden instead of the 3. It's Draco. You kind of want to keep your monster count really low. 6 to 8 monsters, and no more than 9. That's usually where you want to be with Draco. Otherwise, you kind of start bricking and you bring your own consistency. Dracos are their own bricks, unfortunately. Next, we're going to go into the Dogmatika lineup. Just the 1 Ecclesia, the 1 Floor. These cards are kind of why I picked up the deck and made it the way it is. These cards are really good. It lets you establish your own boards while breaking your opponents. And having these cards giving you access to cards like Nadir that help you play off your own Draco cards. Like you can pop a lot of cards. Your opponent has to answer these. Otherwise, you're going to start accumulating advantage. And it can really snowball from there. The 1 Diagram, the 1 Terraforming, you know, it is what it is. I can cry all day, but I mean, Diagram's at 1, wish it wasn't. Konami, get on it. We're gonna run the 3 Disciples and the 3 Heritage. This is your Draco spell lineup, and this is your grind game setter. This lets you continuously shuffle back 3 Draco cards to draw a card. Really helps you in the grind game. Heritage, really good draw card. In a profile like this, you can pretty much always draw 2 as long as you don't just absolutely brick. This is really good. Like it's a really underrated draw engine. 3 Nadir. It's the bread and butter. You know, it's going to get you into all your Dogmatika plays. Great starter, as well as like an accidental great board breaker. You don't always have to send Titaniclad in this deck. If you open your Dogmatika cards, then you'll see in the extra deck that we've got options to send other stuff that's not just Titaniclad, because since we are playing True Draco, we have the luxury of having a lot of space to really make our Dogmatika cards like Punishment and Nadir shine. And you'll see that as we go on through. Talents, in my opinion, this is kind of mandatory. If you're going to play a tier 2 deck like Draco, like doesn't have the same consistency because all of our cards, you know, are at 1 or banned. So like this deck can suffer. Like Ashes hurt this deck a lot more than some other decks. If they do Ash your Diagrams, your Draco monsters, your Nadirs, this gives you that crackback play to respond to your opponent. Typically, because we are playing Draco, we have access to a lot of draw cards. You don't usually need to draw 2 off this. I try not to, unless like I just don't have resources. You're actually better off hand ripping, in my opinion, with this, getting that game knowledge, denying your opponent their starter in their hand, or if you're going second, then dealing with your problem cards, stealing your opponent's Dragoons, stealing their DPEs, whatever the problem monster is on the board. This card, kind of mandatory in my opinion. I mean, it needs to be main decked. Like this gives you that crackback play that Draco doesn't usually have. I'm gonna go off into the 2 Desires and then the 1 Demise as my draw engine. I know I'm gonna get questions. They're gonna be like, why do you want to play Desires and Dogmatikas? What if you banish all your stuff? That's stuff I've heard. Like if you banish all of your punishments and all of your Nadirs and steal one of your monsters, like that's just an anomaly. Like it's not going to typically happen. You do want to play this over like Extrav and Positive Prosperity. I know that'll be the next question people give me. Why don't you play those? Pretty big reason, as you can tell through my profile. I have a lot of cards that say draw. So, like, there's no reason to play Extrav and Prosperity. Like, I get they serve different purposes, and Prosperity helps you dig for specific cards, like side decks if you need them. But, like, Prosperity and Extrav, they're going to show off your draw cards. Like, there's no reason to turn off your talents, your disciples, your heritages. Like, there's no real reason to turn all of that off when you don't need to. This card's just as good. You should be activating this after you do all your searches anyway, as much as possible. So I think Desire is just correct in my opinion. And we'll round off the spells with the one of Call By, and don't really need an explanation. Just try to play through those ashes. Deal with DPs if you can. Start off the traps. 3 Apocalypse, 2 Return. I actually like Return. I get a lot of people think this card is terrible. Like, it's not terrible. I do play the extra deck version, so like I do go into my extra deck. It's not just all fluff. Like, if you get to a simplified game state, which it happens a lot of times, where once you break their board, you can kind of loop your return. Keep bringing back a Draco at the end phase. Next turn, you can use your extra deck. I do play rank 5s and stuff that do help me. So this card isn't just there to pop a monster. Like, it does have utility that you actually use. Punishment, pretty much the reason I built the deck. I absolutely love this card. This card gives you a lot of answers to the current format right now. I know that DPE is in every deck pretty much right about, and this and Nadir, they kind of give you answers to those. Like, you'll see in the extra deck, I make sure that I deal with my opponent's Phoenix Enforcers. Like, we're not trying to let them keep that. And this card's a really good starter to help you with that, as well as breaking the board. The only Floodgate I play, Tickaboo. I don't believe that Draco can be played the same. Like, I get that everyone, the history of the Draco deck is just play Floodgates and try to just win off that. But this deck is a casualty of current side deck cards. Like, everyone's going to have their Evenleys or Lightning Storms, Feather Dusters, and stuff like for other matchups, and you're just a casualty of that. So, like, there's no real reason to play the Erupts versions other than you just don't have the money to build a more competitive version like this one, which is fine. That's not a bad thing. It's just if you can, this is the only Floodgate that really needs to be played, because it can be played going first or second. Going first, it's a really good auto win card versus a lot of the meta. Going second, this is a pseudo torrential. So if you're going to play a Floodgate, this is pretty much the only one that deserves to be in the main deck. I do play a couple of Floodgate cards, but they're in the side. You don't want to really build your deck for just going first. And then I'm going to end it with Strike. I do play Strike over the Judgment. I definitely do have my Judges. They're just in the side because you do want that card. But in the main deck, this actually serves a lot more purpose. Better going first, better going second. This is negation with spot removal built in. So Judgment just doesn't have that. And most main decks, like, I won't say all of them, all of people do play cards, but like most main decks aren't playing their Lightning Storms and their Feather Dusters like main decked. So this card gets a lot of utility game 1. I think it's better than Judgment in the main deck spots. Next, we're going to go to the extra. I have thought a lot about this extra deck, and I tried to make it as general as I could to cover a lot of the meta. We do have a lot of extra playroom, like I said, because we're playing Draco. We don't really need cards other than like punishment targets, but we're going to get into it, show you what I love about it. Natis, it's just Natis. Use your punishment, send Natis, pop 2 cards off of just a punishment. Titaniclad, this gets you your missing piece of your Dogmatic engine. If you have the floor in hand, grab the Ecclesia and vice versa. I play the 1/5-headed dragon. I mean, I know this is a meme. This, if you just absolutely want to play another spot, this is what you would cut. But like, I don't think you want to. I mean, it doesn't have to be this. It can be any card. You just need a big beater in your extra deck somewhere. There's a lot of times where your opponent makes a big monster with 3,100 attack, or higher, and you just don't have a way to deal with it even with punishment. So like you do want a higher attack monster, something to deal with all those big cards. And this is just a coverage card. So this is how I deal with DP. This is kind of why I love punishment. It's just it's an extra way to deal with it as well. So DP isn't ever deckless, as you know. These two cards, a lot of people that play punishment, they do play these cards anyway. But these cards became even stronger with the release of DPE, because this makes sure that you have a way to deal with it either way. If they're going to leave the card on board, then you can make sure you have your Pegasus engrave and shuffle away the DPs. If they're going to pop the DPs themselves and put it in the grave, then you want to make sure you have your Omegas, and this can shuffle away DPs as well. But like, we're dealing with DPE. We're making sure if they're going to play it in every deck, I'm going to make sure that's a card I have to deal with. Farragut, another coverage spot. There is a lot of times where I open my Ecclesia and my Nadir Servant, or an Ecclesia and a Punishment. Like, I just don't need any more Dogmatika cards. So if I have a Nadir and I already have the cards I would be searching off a Nadir, this is a great option to send to the grave. This helps you fix your hand. It gives you a draw while replacing a card in your hand. So if you need if you need to put a card back in the deck to make sure you have targets for your Nadirs and your Ecclesias, this helps you. I mean, you don't have to play this card, but I wouldn't cut it. Like, this card has helped me fix my hands and fix my main deck to where I make sure I have legal targets in deck. More coverage cards. Masquerena, Phoenix, and Unicorn. You won't make these a lot, but like, when you need them, you really need them, and they do come up, because like I said, I am playing the extra deck version. So the True Kings Erupt, like at the end phase, like if you have your resources already, like, it does benefit you to like actually link off your Draco monsters, make a Masquerena, and like put your opponent on some kind of interruption with like the threat of going into Unicorn. So these aren't just there just for looks. Like, they do come up. Like, it has happened where I do want to make a Masquerena and make them actually have to think about it. Two of my favorite cards, Freezing, it's just a generic rank 5. It's just there because it's a water to overlay into Crystal Lancer. This is basically just Ice Beat Zerifying. This gains 500 attack for each material under it, and you can attach a material on this, and you can negate the effects of all your opponent's monsters on the board. So it's a non-target blanking effect, which really helps you get around those problem cards that like Draco does struggle with. Avramaxes, Dragoons, like cards that can't be targeted or destroyed. This is a way to deal with those. So like I said, like I do like making stuff in my extra deck, so I wanted to make sure I had as much as I could. Volcasaurus, this helps you win in time. More coverage cards. Like, if your opponent is not playing as fast as they could be, or you think they're just trying to get to the end of the game, and you need a way to, and it goes back to you, and you do need a way to win in the main phase. This is a card that no one really sees coming, so it's great. And once you use the effect, you can also just use it for Gaia Dragon. This gets you more mats for your Zeus, so you can get those 4 material Zeuses in a true Draco deck, and then no one will ever see him 4 material Zeus and Draco coming. It's one of the funniest things to watch my opponent look at. And then lastly, we will end this with the side deck. Inspector Border. It's in the side. It's not as good as it once was. Like, a lot of decks, they can, even with this on board, they have enough extenders on their own through spells and traps, like Burk Halls and stuff, like, where they can put a extra deck monster on board to get their one effect, and usually that's enough to get them snowballing. The decks that this is good against, it's really good against, but like, because the meta is the way it is right now, it's not worth main decking at the moment. But like, this does help you in your rogue matchups, so you have enough coverage for the meta, But those random matchups, like your random Adultes or random whatever, like auto win cards like this, it's still worth having access to. Dark Ruler. I went back and forth with this. I actually like this better than Droplets. I get that you can pop cards and stuff with the Draco cards with Droplets, but like I'm trying not to commit resources more than I need to in Draco because we already can't OTK. So I mean, you might as well. This does the same job without having to send 2 or 3 cards to deal with your opponent's board, and then still have to have enough left in hand to actually do something after you Droplet. But because we don't have Droplet, I do like to play the 2 Chalice. This card's seeing play again. I've been playing it for a while too myself. I don't play Imperm, but this can act as a pseudo Imperm. This just has cheeky. This has cheeky utility that does come up. You can, if you have Diagram in this in hand, you can activate your Diagram, call Diagram, chain your Chalice, negate a monster on the board, and then pop your Chalice to get your search without having to commit a second card for your Diagram. Other than that, this can be activated in the damage step, so you can set this, get those cheeky attack points if you ever need those extra 200 or 300 attack points that would make the difference in a battle. This has a lot of utility that people don't think about. I played 2 Floodgate Trap Holes and 2 Summon Limits. They kind of serve their same purpose. Floodgate Trap Hole, you won't bring it in a lot unless like you're playing just a absolute like link heavy deck or something, like, and you can play this like versus Sword Souls and stuff and Lyra Luskis, but like the early momentum decks, that combo, this is really good against. If you hit a monster while they're trying to link off and like you hit a important link zone, this can kind of trap your opponent. Summon Limit. This is one of the best cards that you can side when you know you're going to go first. This hits pretty much every deck that you need to worry about right now. This will deal with your Drytrons, your Lyra Luskis, your Sword Souls. They all need 3 summons to get where they want to go at minimum. So love these cards. And then we'll end it off with the 3 Judgment. You will always side this in when you know you're going to go first. If you want, you can just replace the strikes for judgments when you do side them. But you do want to always side this in going first because by then, by the time you're siding, your opponent will know you're playing Draco. So of course they're going to be playing their own board breakers, their Lightning Storms, or Evenlies, Twin Twisters, and their blowout cards. You don't want to just lose to those. This gives you a way to respond to those. And my advice after playing this deck so long, like, literally never activate this card unless, like, unless you know your opponent has cards on board and they can't activate their Lightning Storms or whatever. But like, always save this for board breakers. Like, the biggest threat to this deck is the back row board breakers. So like, pretty much just save this. Now, if you need to use this, like, if your opponent's comboing off and you need to stop like a access code summon or something, all means go for it. I mean, have common sense, but like, always save this card. But anyway, guys, that was my True Draco Dogmatika. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're an upstart channel, and we're trying to get back into the groove of things. I hope that you guys liked the profile, and if you did, I hope I earned a like or at least a comment and tell me what you thought about it. Let us know another profile that you'd like to see us upload. We'll try our best to get to it, and I appreciate all you guys watching, and thanks so much.